is my first time presenting at the Dagger community call, so it's quite exciting. And I haven't been doing any speaking at tech conferences, maybe since the pandemic. So it's quite nice to be in this community and just meet other developers and hear a lot of cool tech and talk about this. Sadly, we won't generate any ML generated thoughts in my presentation. I wish I could do something better. Maybe in a few weeks when I get like a better mental mind of what I've been going through. Just trying to get GPU support in Dagger. So I will just do a quick walkthrough about what we are trying to achieve and like a summary of what I've been working on in the past weeks and also some code samples and in general, I'm open to any feedback about like any feedback about the user experience or how we could make it better. So I will just kick it out by sharing my screen and showing you this ticket. Let me know if you see it properly. I think so, right?
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, so this was a ticket from Salomon from March. So after 4 months, we got some updates around this, and there is a lot of knowledge in all these comments. So I spent some time just going through every comment, every link. There is a lot of talk about supporting NVIDIA in different ways and NVIDIA hooks and NVIDIA SDKs and so on. And basically, I think Sam did a great summary of like a kind of a very simple roadmap of how we could support GPUs in Dagger. So I think I've been working on the first step or towards the first step that he mentioned here, which is how can we add basic GPU access to to Dagger, sorry. And just like you would do it with Docker Run, right? So you can just, I will show you. There are some very nice docs here. It's just all magic in the yeah, like under this command you see here, right? But basically in Docker, you would do like run and you specify this flag GPUs and you can pick which GPUs you want to expose when this container is running, or if you want to expose all GPUs and so on. So I've been working towards this. It involves a lot of experimentation, especially a lot of conflict as well, because as you know, or maybe you don't know, we are using like Alpine as the base image for the Dagger dev engine. And this caused a lot of problems because Alpine uses muscle and not glibc. And all the NVIDIA tooling uses glibc. And they also provide like official support for Red Hat and Ubuntu, which of course use glibc. So there is some nice documentation here. We have referenced this multiple times in the ticket. So if you are curious about the low level details for the architecture, how this works, there is some kind of architecture high level overview of how they support this when you are using Docker, for example. The sad thing is that when testing this out, and especially since we have like our own implementation of multiple components, like the shim we use and so on, I found a lot of issues when trying to make this work with Dagger. So it's been a lot of debugging, a lot of S-trace, and just trying different scenarios, trying to understand what this NVIDIA hook does under the hood and why it didn't work like in a standard way or at the first time. So at some moment, I spent time just looking at RunC. I spent time just preparing a very simple scenario where I create this container and I just call the NVIDIA hook like they suggest in the documentation. And of course, I was using like an Ubuntu image here. And I think this repo is quite kind of interesting if you are into the internal details or the low level of how this works. But I basically summarize like the most simple scenario where I can access GPU using runc and a very simple container. So this was really helpful for me because I could see what the NVIDIA hooks, what the NVIDIA hook does under the hood. Like, does it copy some libraries from this place to another? Does it set any environment that we need to be aware of and so on? And I'm still learning about it, but I think I kind of got some minimum functionality here. And then my second idea after this, or my second step after this was, okay, we are using runc as well. And maybe we can try to run the same scenario you see in this repo through Dagger. And yeah, I jumped into many issues. And I should also say help to Eric and Alex. They were really helpful when debugging these kind of issues. And on one side, I had to migrate our dev engine to Ubuntu, and I found a lot of issues there as well. So I had to disable some Dagger functionality, like service DNS, which is a very nice functionality from Dagger. For now, it's not working, but I think in the upcoming weeks I will fix it as well. And I managed to run like the NVIDIA hooks and just get some basic GPU access. There is a PR, like there is a branch. I didn't raise a PR yet. Let me show you. It's somewhere around here. I didn't raise a PR because I need to clean a lot of stuff, and I'm also trying to improve like the actual developer experience in the sense of we need this flag like where you can pick which GPU you want to get visibility on when you're running your Dagger pipeline and so on. So yeah, this is kind of like the branch if you compare it to latest Dagger main branch. As you can see, this is like the Ubuntu replacement I did, replacing some packages, of course. We're using APK, which is for Alpine, and now we are using Ubuntu and so on. So that was very interesting. And then I think I have like a summary of how the test or my main test is working at the moment is this mutual integration test that I name test GPU access. And basically you can run like an NVIDIA command that will show you information about the GPU you are using and so on. And it basically will run the same command on the host. Then it will use Dagger, of course, as you can see here, create a container, use this CUDA image from NVIDIA, and then run the same command, and then it will just compare the output of the two. So I have something working here. So this is, I'm using a GPU enabled instance from Paperspace. They are a GPU cloud. And of course I get all the NVIDIA stuff is just working by default on this instance, right? This is Ubuntu. And I have my Dagger here. So I can run the test here. It's here. So it will just print the host output and then it will print the Dagger output and it will just pass because the output match. And I think from here, because I'm not really familiar with all the things you can do, not as look like with all the flows and everything you can do here. I think my next step, besides working on improving the developer experience and actually enabling this kind of flags, Docker-like flags where you can pick which GPU you want to expose and so on. I think there are some ideas that some mentioned, I think as well about like memory, limiting memory and so on. I think besides that, I might start working on some kind of more realistic sample, maybe running something with PyTorch or TensorFlow or something. So in case you get any ideas of what kind of what kind of stuff we can run to make better samples, that will be good as well. So that I can just visualize that from the developer side. Like if I'm a Dagger developer, how can I make this flow better, or what would be beneficial, or so on. So yes, so I would just say recommend you to read this thread in case you have any ideas about how this works. There is a lot of low-level details, a lot of internals here, and I will be posting like regular updates here as we follow these steps that some outline that we want to achieve with Dagger. Is there any question, or maybe I should check the chat, right?
Yeah, let's take a peek. I was going to also paste in this issue. I've got it right here. Boom. There's that issue, the GPU access issue. Oh yeah, and then we have one request if you would share a link to your branch.
Yeah, actually my branch is linked in the last comment of the ticket. It's somewhere here. So yeah, I reference it here. Like
Okay.
I had multiple branches and they are referenced in different comments across this ticket. And when I get closer to having something like very clean that it could be good to merge, I will raise like an official branch and there will be a proper PR. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Let me check any other.
Also some comment that might be fun. Like I found some tickets on the NVIDIA repo like can I use this with Alpine? And they would just close the ticket and say, no, we don't support because Alpine uses muscle and not glibc. And actually, while experimenting this, I was able to use some compatibility packages. There is some package called like dcompat, and I get it to work like 80% or something. Like the code was actually running. Maybe with some more hacking, I would make it work. So that was kind of interesting to explore as well. Maybe we could actually make it work with Alpine. And I think Eric mentioned some other image. I think Wolfie, which I haven't checked yet, but he mentioned that it's very small as well, smaller than Ubuntu, but also uses glibc, so it should be very easy to integrate. So next step for me is look into that as well. That's Eric's suggestion.
Yes, actually, there was a question there from Solomon where he's saying he was concerned about leaking host-specific details like GPU device ID. Will it be possible to use GPU Access API in a truly portable way?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we could probably add it to the ticket and just make it part of the investigation. I'm not sure, but I think it should be possible. Like by default now, you get all the IDs and everything. Like it's just another device on the system, so you can access it like any other device. But yeah, I think it could be interesting to have something like that. And I agree with what Narendra mentions about Alpine. Yeah, I don't think Alpine is the best option. I totally agree. From what I see, all machine learning workflows, they all use Ubuntu. And this also raises another question that I mentioned very early in the ticket about we could still keep Dagger working the same way as we do now and just enable all this GPU overhead whenever you request GPU access. So we don't have to migrate everything. We don't have to use Ubuntu by default, but we can just make it conditional, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, people are suggesting other things like Debian
Yeah,
Slim, etc. And you can see
yeah,
you can see Solomon's question here. Yeah, is it about the Dagger engine's
yeah.
base image? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Should we continue on GitHub? Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Please, everybody who's it sounds like there is definitely some interest here. So check out that issue 4675 and add your thoughts there, your insights, and anything that we should look into. And really appreciate getting this sneak peek